Ray Burch was born in 1929 in Nicholasville, Kentucky. While on a double date in college, Ray negotiated a swap so that he could get to know the cousin of his next-door neighbor, whose name was Madge.
He and my mom married when he was 22 and she was 18, and they immediately were off to the Philippines for the Korean War, where they had their firstborn and conceived their second child.
After the Air Force, his career in sales began with Ralston Purina in St. Louis, Missouri, before ultimately transferring to Gainesville, Georgia in 1957, where he made the transition to business development and the poultry business.
He was very smart and very active and aggressive, and was a good entrepreneur and a poultry man. He was first with Twin Oaks Hatchery and then president of CWT Farms and later chairman of the board of CWT Farms. And he was one of the pioneers in exporting eggs to other countries.
CWT Farms at that point was selling baby chicks primarily into the Caribbean. And the baby chick business was a high hazard business because shipping baby chicks by airplane is very risky and mortality rates were quite high. So the transition came that they came up with the idea that if we can switch our clients from buying baby chicks to buying hatching eggs, then we can reduce the risk, because hatching eggs are a perishable product, but not nearly so perishable as a baby chick, a day-old baby chick is. So Ray's job early in his career there was to change the mentality and the ideas of his clients from a chick business to convince them you need to buy incubators. We'll ship you hatching eggs. You incubate those eggs in this country, wherever you are, and you produce your own baby chicks.
Our community of North Georgia was feeding this many millions of people all over the world. It was just a highly unusual business, but it developed a lot of good relationships with countries and people.
Hard work was something he understood. He enjoyed the experience of work as much as he did the rewards. He taught his knowledge of business to his children, encouraging industriousness, tenacity, and organization.
One of the things about Ray that he always carried was that little book right there, okay? The old style daytimer. Ray taught me how to use it and to use it effectively. And but Ray lived and died with that book.
I had an egg route that he helped me establish within our neighborhood. Every Wednesday I would call and say, Mrs. Haynes, Mrs. Dixon, how many dozen eggs would you like this Wednesday? 2 dozen, fine, be there now. And I would load up the riding lawnmower, the trailer behind, for the eggs that he brought and deliver to all the neighbors. He made sure it was always done. Did you call today? How were your receipts today? Are you giving good customer service? Have you checked the price? Are you price competitive with Green's Grocery? Go check that price and see if you're 10 cents underneath it. You get salesmanship, son. He was always so motivated that way, and I always appreciated it. He created that very much with my sisters, who are all very industrious, very business-minded.
I think he was determined to do a good job and to expand those companies, which he did. But I think he also wanted to have an impact in a worthwhile way in Gainesville and Hall County to make it a better place to live and to give other people opportunities. So he was concerned beyond himself and beyond his company.
No one placed a higher value on integrity and relationships, endearing him not only to his wife and children, but also to his clients around the world.
My dad always said you can never have too many friends, and I think that's one thing that he cultivated and put a high priority on. several, 3 or 4 times a month, we would have foreign guests in our home that always dressed differently, wore funny aftershaves, smelled differently, and had funny accents. But on a Wednesday night, typically 2 or 3 times a month, we would have formal nights in the dining room, all get dressed up on a school night, and just entertain guests. Those foreign customers really appreciated it because they were away from their own families, and consequently they would send their kids up to see us during the summer and stay with us.
His whole mentality and personality was super positive. It was always, oh boy, let's go get this done, you know. And he lived that. If Ray was vexed with something and he really wanted to express that, he'd say, confound it.
His exclamations were, oh good gosh, or Dad blame it. They were, he got the point across without being too dramatic or too profane.
CWT Farms was recognized with many national accolades as a leader in the poultry industry under Ray's leadership.
CWT received the E Award, which was established by President Kennedy in the early 1960s and was presented by the Secretary of Commerce. And CWT received it, and interestingly enough, it was presented just outside of a chicken house in Gillsville, Georgia, a platform built for the occasion, and a big crowd, and officials from the U.S. Department of Commerce came to make that presentation. And later they received the E-Star Award for continued expansion.
Of his many accomplishments, Ray held none dearer than his success as a husband, father, grandfather, and friend.
I remember when he was separated from my mom in living quarters in the last 6 months of his life and putting into the nursing home section of their retirement facility. He said, Mom and Dad were hugging while they were explaining they were dealing with the new separation. His wife of 66 years, and they met when she was 18. My mom said, Ray, it's been a wonderful ride. And Dad thought about it, and I wouldn't change a thing.